Hi, I'm Greg Whalen. This is my new invention, the saw table. With this saw table, you can do virtually anything related to carpentry, from setting it up and trimming houses to doing home hobby work, as well as building furniture in your garage. And it all fits in the back of a truck. These are a couple of types of miter box stands that I've used in the past. This one weighs 36 pounds and holds one saw, the miter box saw. This one weighs 65 pounds and holds one saw. The miter box saw is permanently mounted to this table. So not only do you have the 65 pounds to haul around, but then you have the weight of the miter box saw as well. Try hoisting that into the back of your truck. I'm going to unload this now, and I'm going to show you how quick and easy it is to set this up. First thing you do is just spread open the interlocking boards and then bring the legs out. Crescent wrench in place. It's tightened up. Same thing on the other end. Reach down to the middle or a little past. Lift it up. We're ready to start putting tools on it. There's a single threaded leg that goes onto the bottom. So I always set the miter box on the table first. Then you just slide it back off of it, set it down on that leg, and line up these. Then you got to put a pin in it so it doesn't pull away from it as you work with it. That's set up. Now we'll put the table saw into place. With the table saw, you can get by with just a pin. As well as pinning at these points. Table saw virtually just leans into place where those holes line up, and then you pin it. Same thing on the other side. And there, the tools are unloaded and all set up. We'll get the truck out of here and we'll get down to work. Now that we got it set up, we have a few accessories to put on that will make it even more functional. This is the left side extension for the miter box saw. It has a handle underneath here that you just tighten it in. These are already set for my saw. Has a handle underneath here. This is the right hand extension. You loosen up the knob. I always like to go all the way out with it for my cutting. So I go until I come loose, then I put it back in just enough to get the knob to where it'll raise that up good and tight. Now you've got your full extension to the right and your extension to the left for holding your material on the miter box. The next item is handy when you're working by yourself. Most of this table was designed because of the need of working by myself and not having to have a hand. These are clamps, typical bar clamp that you can buy at any hardware store, and they can be inserted into tubes that are on this side. This will allow you to clamp material to the wood. You don't want to clamp to the metal, but they will be pinned in place so that you can clamp down to about a ½ inch and back out. The other accessory is so that you can do door planing as well as hinging a door if you have to. So you would take these out and pull down this arm right here, this arm right here, set it in, grab one of your quick grip clamps, clamp the door in, and you can plane, you can router the hinges, anything you need to do. What else I like about this table is that if you've ever had to cut a door, you've needed to put it on 2 sawhorses. You don't need 2 sawhorses. You've got a table here that's long enough to hold the door. Better yet, you can clamp the door so no one has to hold it when you go to cut the door off. I'll show you how that's done. You got to cut off the bottom of the door. Establish bottom of door. Might have to shove your miter box head a little bit. Put your door in place. Slide it ahead till you can see the table itself. Clamp the bottom. Get another quick grip. The other side. Now you can saw the door, take the belt sander to it if you have to cut it off, and the saw is not going to move around on you. You don't need another set of hands. As you can see, I put a power strip on so that you plug in just to it, and then you can plug in your table saw, and you can plug in your miter box. Then you just plug in the one single power strip and plug in that. Now, there's still plenty of outlets available for any handheld tools, jigsaws, sanders, vibrators, orbital vibrator sanders, power planes, without having to go and run another cord. And they all are within the proximity of just this saw table and its accessories. Let's say you've set it up like we did, and you're only like 6 feet away from the door. And if you're going to cut an 8-foot piece of plywood, you're going to need to have more room than that. The thing's all set up. Let me show you how easy it is to get some more room. We're going to take and set it diagonally in the garage, which will do exactly that. You don't need to unhook and move everything. You got a leg here that you don't want dragging. So you have to lift a little bit right here, grab onto one of the pieces of wood, and just slide the whole unit. Now you've just moved it diagonally into the area where we have more than enough room for an 8-foot piece of plywood to be cut. The table will act as a catch table. But there's one more accessory that I need to show you. Okay, one of the other accessories is this outrigger. That's going to enable you to cut 4x8 sheets and not have them fall off to the side. The table will not have, it's a catch table, will not allow the material to fall off the end of the table. The unit will not come with this piece of wood. It does come with the outriggers themselves, which you then make this piece of wood so it is level with the tabletop, so that you don't get a left-hand drop off of your saw. That might cause it to bind the blade. The way the outriggers are connected to the table is by a pin mechanism that we used before, and you can take a look at it underneath here. The pin simply goes through, you clip it on, and it's done. The outrigger can't move in and out. You do the same thing over on this side. When the outrigger is flush with the inside of that receptor, the pin should go in that easy. With your chop saw in its normal position, you can rip up to 14 inches wide. I need a 15 3/4 inch wide area. So there is a way to get it done, and let me just show you this little trick. You take the pin out that attaches the miter box and just lift back and slide it until it's far enough to where you can take a straight edge and you will miss the miter box, the back of the miter box. The other thing you have to do is that with the miter box over the top of the table, you need to come in and slide your slide arm back so that it's not over the top of the material where it's going to be fed through. Okay, let's get it done. Notice that neither piece fell either off the end or to the side, and one person can easily rip a 4x8 sheet and not have himself in harm's way with the possibility of material falling off the end or the side of the table. Now that we've made our sides for the cabinet, I need to make a face frame. So I'm going to set the saw for 1.5 inches. And that looks good right there. And since it's a paint grade cabinet, birch panels, and we're going to have a pine, D-pine face frame, we'll rip the face frame. Okay, earlier we put these clamps in, and now I'm going to show you how they work, their utilization. This is a short board in height, and normally I would just take them through, I have a thickness planer, but before I had a thickness planer, everything was done with small hand tools, motorized tools. So when you can't clear with a guarded tool, you'll need to use a flat bottom, no fence tool, and you just hold it as fairly flat on the board and plane away. And it should be nice and smooth. Now, for wider board, it's a lot easier. You slide it into the clamps, tighten it down. By using a plane with a fence on it, you can assure yourself of a better chance of having a square surface and flat. The miter box on this stand will function just as it does on regular miter box stands, only with the saw table, you got the table saw function, the miter box function, the clamping capabilities or planing, and sanding. With the slide arm saw, you'll get a nice straight cut. The saw table really helps with when you're working alone and you need to sand an edge. So I made a door here, just a simple door. The clamps, quick grip clamps, slide through and you just rotate them, clamp it, and you can rotate down the clamps out of the way, and then you'd be able to take your sander okay. Hands, nobody needs to help you. Take it off, turn around, and then get the other side. The other option is that you can go ahead and route and not have to have someone hold it. Again, I'm going to go under and use my strip plug. And then simply turn it and go the rest of the way around. Or you can just hand hold it if you're used to that, but it'll hold the product still so that you feel safe operating the sanders, the routers. They don't go skidding away on you. It's, I think, one of its nicest features. Another alternative way to be able to sand with a belt sander is just to make yourself a simple stop. It's thinner than the board that you're sanding and got a couple screw holes lined up. And if you don't mind putting a few holes in your brand new bench, you can screw it down. Slide the door to it, and then you don't have to sand around any clamps. So there you go. Anything that you can imagine to do, you can do on this saw table with the attachments that come with it, as well as whatever you might be able to think of, so that it fits perfectly into your business or home shop.